Can I be part of your glory?
In the 1940s, there lived a widow and her young son on the outskirts of Williamsburg. She struggled terribly to put food on the table, and just being able to survive was always a very big struggle. And so when her young boy reached the age of going to school, while she really wanted to send him to a yeshiva, it really wasn't an option. The yeshiva was all the way on the other side of Williamsburg, and besides that, she'd have to pay tuition, and she didn't even have money to put food on the table. So she sent her kid to public school, and he would come home, and she would try to teach him whatever she knew. She taught him Aleph Beis, and she taught him a little bit of Siddur, but she herself didn't know that much. And the years passed, and this boy periodically would ask his mother why he's not in a Jewish school, and she would just sigh and say, it's just not a possibility. When the boy turned 12 years old, somehow a certain flame was ignited inside of his neshama, and he said to his mother, I must go to yeshiva. And she said, it's not a possibility. It's on the other side of Williamsburg. We don't even have money to get you to the other side of Williamsburg, let alone pay tuition. But the boy wouldn't take no for an answer. And he woke up one morning, and it was snowing, and it was sleeting, and it was icy outside. He said goodbye to his mother, but instead of going to public school, he began the long trek to the other side of Williamsburg. It was an over 2-hour walk. He walked in the snow and the sleet and the hail, and he finally arrived at the yeshiva, drenched to the bone, shivering. He walks into the yeshiva and he says, I need to talk to the principal. They let him into the principal. The principal looks at this boy who's shivering, his clothing is wet, he's 12 years old, and he says to him, who are you and why are you here? He says, I came because I want to learn Torah. He says to the boy, where are you coming from? The boy explains that he lives with his mother, who's a widow, and that she had no money, and she still has no money, and that he walked over 2 hours to be able to come here to talk to the principal. The principal was shaken, moved by the boy, and he said, okay, let's have a conversation. What's your level of learning? Where are you at? What can I ask you a question on? Gemara, Mishnayos, Chumash. And the boy shrugs his shoulders and says, I don't even know anything about Gemara, Mishnayos, and Chumash. I know how to read a little bit. The principal says to him, it's not really a possibility for you to come to this yeshiva. If you do, Aleph Beis we learn in kindergarten. A 12-year-old boy in kindergarten, that doesn't make sense. The boy says, no, it's okay. I'll sit in kindergarten. If I could learn Aleph Beis, and that's what I have to do to be able to become proficient in Torah, I'll do it. The principal didn't really like the arrangement. It's not a normal arrangement. He says, come. And takes him to the kindergarten, and he says, there's no room. There isn't even room to put in another desk. I'm sorry, it's just not a possibility. I would have loved to help you, but it's not a reality. And all of a sudden, this 12-year-old begins to cry. And he says to the principal, can we go back to your office for a minute? And the principal says, yeah, but what do you want? He goes, I want you to write me a piece of paper. And on this piece of paper, it says that I came and I asked you to learn in your yeshiva and you couldn't work it out. The principal says, what do you need that piece of paper for? And through a veil of tears, the boy says, because I know that one day I'm going to be nifter and I'm going to come to Bezdin Shamal, I'm going to meet my father. And my father's going to say, what happened to you? How come you don't know anything? How come you're an Am Haaretz? You're ignorant. And I want to be able to show my father that at least I tried. And it was you who didn't let me into the yeshiva. The principal was shaken to the core, and he said to the boy, don't worry about it. We'll make it work. And he figured out space in the kindergarten class, and the boy sat in the kindergarten class. And it was hard for him to learn how to read proficiently. And it took him a few years to even get close to a level that he was at. And initially he struggled terribly. But eventually he got it together and became an incredible Maggid Shir, a Melamed Torah L'Ama Yisrael, and a star Mechanech in Klal Yisrael. When a person has a ratzon and they have a desire to steig in their learning, there's no knowing where they can eventually reach. You know, Shavuos is a time when we have to rekindle and we have to reignite our desire, our chesed, to do whatever it takes to be able to become proficient and attain higher levels of Limud HaTorah. Hatzlacha Rabbah in that journey.